Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 98, almost 200. And we got a new guest on the show. Oh, it was muted. Pops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
if
I have
any.
background noise. We got grandkids, so
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, Pops Van Zant. Is that how? Yeah.
yeah,
I got my. Okay, yeah. So, for anybody watching now or anybody watching the replay, Pops, start talking about like why you love comics so much and what really inspired you as a kid to like want to start doing what you're doing for so many creators.
well, I wouldn't say I got inspired as a kid to do it.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
how
what
you're
made
like
you,
cruising through life and you
yeah.
have a life changing moment
Hmm.
where you suddenly see that maybe this was my calling,
Yeah.
right? I
It's
went
like people
through
who are good at wrestling, but they want to be managers, announcers, because they love the craft.
right. For me, it was like, look, I was a little mythology nerd. I wasn't even a comic nerd
Hmm.
until I saw a mythology character on the cover of a comic.
Gotcha.
Okay, when I
Yeah.
saw Thor on the cover of Defenders 10,
Hmm.
I became a comic fan immediately. And, I started following the Avengers and the Defenders and Thor and Silver Surfer and certain, I didn't like read it all, but certain
Yeah.
stuff that like tied into my interests,
Hmm.
outer space, stuff like that. I was into it, right? Um, I've had a couple of huge collections. I've had one that was completely stolen. I lost the other one in a different way that sucked just as bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but like, this is the third time I started a collection.
Yeah.
Um, and, this time it was different. Okay. There's not a lot of sports stuff or, stuff like that. It's all art and comics.
Hmm.
Okay, so I started getting to know some of the people that do art and comics.
Yeah.
Uh, one of the one of the first people that I met that's actually industry was Brian Polito.
Okay.
I don't mean met in person, but became friends online, talked, and
Hmm.
and you know, uh, I had this little Facebook group called the Comic Related Madness, which we still have, obviously, and it's not quite so little anymore,
No,
but
definitely not.
uh, it was like 300 or 400 people, right? And when Emerald City went down in 2020, it changed the whole complexion of the group. It
Hmm.
changed. It gave me a different life direction, obviously, because suddenly I'm doing this, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but basically, it became a. I'm looking at all my friends in the industry, and the cons start dropping one after another, bang, 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 bang.
Oh, yeah.
And I go to Brian and I'm like, yo, Brian, what are you gonna do, man? Because they were all set to go to Seattle, right?
Hmm.
And Brian tells me, he's like, well, I got lucky and Francesca caught the shipment before they put it in the building in Seattle and had them turn around and send it all back to Phoenix.
Hmm.
So Brian had a huge sale that weekend and sold all of his Emerald City stuff, all the exclusive covers, all the cool stuff that he was going to sell at the con, and made killing. Well, Brian has a huge following and he can do that.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends didn't. They didn't have that huge following. They didn't have that place to go sell their stuff, and they were just like half of them weren't even getting the money back for the tables they put the money out for, right?
Yeah, because I know there was some cons that I seen online that were created just to be like an online con that people could like pay to be part of.
Yeah.
And you would think that that stuff would stick around, but pretty much when the pandemic like lifted its restrictions and everything, people are like, "Oh, we don't need these anymore." But some
Well, see,
people,
but I never seen any
can't
of
do that.
those. I never seen any of those that were successful.
Yeah, that's true.
When I started doing CRoM Con, I did it once a month, every month,
Mhm.
Nobody got charged to be part of it. You come out for 30 minutes, you tell everybody what you had for sale, how they can go find it. And the next guest came out. And we've done that 38 months in a row, 37 months in a row, something. Um, we're in April. Guess what? This month is the 3rd-year anniversary of CRoM Con.
Awesome.
And I mean, we've done
Congrats.
it every single month, once a month,
Yeah.
since its inception in April of 2020. The main thing that I learned right away in the beginning, I was told, and actually this was also Brian Polito, because he came out to the very first CRoM Con. And one of the things he told me is that you got to keep at it.
Hmm.
You got to keep at it. You got to not. You can't let it bother you if the press doesn't pick up what you're doing. You can't let it bother you. You have to just keep doing it, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
That's for
so
anything. YouTube channel, doing
yeah,
your comics,
and
anything.
basically that's what I applied it to, was that if I stop doing what I do, somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to step into that position, and they're going to forget about CRoM Con. They're going to forget about what we built and why.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a place where you come out once a month. You tell everybody what you're doing. If you have an active campaign, whatever. Um, we also have a couple dozen weekly shows on the network. Okay, which actually I think I offered you to bring your show to the network.
Yeah.
We will talk sometime. Um,
Yes, we will.
but I watch people getting demonetized, getting their channels shut down, and I'm like, this isn't serving us.
Yeah.
Um, YouTube isn't necessarily our friend unless we follow all their rules and give them all our money.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, especially if you're
so
kid-friendly comics and you can't have anybody comment in the comment section. You can't do all that crazy stuff.
yeah,
So a lot of people that aren't even like comic creators, but they just promote comics and toys and stuff like that. A lot of their advertisement got lost because of all those rules.
right. So um, for me, I'm not trying to build a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Trying to build a network. Okay,
Yeah.
and basically what I'm trying to build is a view on demand Roku channel of our own,
Mhm.
where we don't have no YouTube and Google telling us what we can and can't do.
Facts.
Okay, so just in the same format that Netflix is, okay, we would upload all of your Crimson Owl comics um, episodes, all
Yeah.
98 of them up there, and people could binge watch your stuff from 1 to 98.
Hmm.
And every time they click on one of your shows, of course an ad plays,
Yeah.
and that's where we make our money.
Hmm.
We split ad revenue, right?
Yeah.
That's where we make our money. You make some money, I make money. We keep this thing going and going and growing.
Hmm.
Okay, that's my plan. That's my goal. Okay, YouTube is a advertising. Yeah, I'm going to use it for advertising.
Gotcha.
I'm going to monetize them trying to monetize me. Okay, um, I'll just put shorts up here telling everybody what they could be going and seeing over there.
Hmm.
You know, um, highlight a different show every now and then, or today's new episode on Crimson Owl is over there on Roku right now. That's not saying you didn't play it on your YouTube channel,
Hmm.
right? But once you've played it on your YouTube channel, if you're a member of our network, once you played it live, then you take it down and you redirect everybody to the Roku so you can make some money that YouTube ain't taking half of.
Yeah. Well, it's even with YouTube, you have to reach a certain like audience level and then have the audience watch so many reviews of it.
And then they take a whole bunch of a percentage.
Yeah. And the
Whether
thing,
it's super chats or ad revenue, they take a
yeah.
bunch of it.
And the thing is, even with like a big YouTube channel, like say if someone has 1 million followers, it doesn't mean all those 1 million followers are gonna watch every single video,
Right,
you know?
right. And
So yeah.
that's the other thing. I'm pretty sure the way the Roku, it's based on, you know, one your payment per ad watch, and you put your ad at the beginning of the show that they're watching, and obviously
Mhm.
they have to watch the ad before they watch the show.
Yeah.
You know, so every time somebody tunes into one of your shows, you're gonna get a little something.
Mhm.
That's, you know, that's what I want to build. I want to build, and like I said, something that, you know, there's no overlord telling you what you can and can't
Yeah.
do on your show. I mean, obviously, we're not going to have illegal shit or straight, you know, crazy porn or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like I want to build a network for comic people.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, he's not here sadly, but I'm a wrestling fan. And it just reminds me of like back in the days where you had all these different divisions, and you even had Jerry Lawler. He had his own wrestling thing going on, and comic creators, they or any type of creator, they need that type of like networking because that's
They
what it's
do.
all about, networking to get your stuff out there. And like I said, even with you, you're not a comic creator, but you love the art and you love the comics. And there are people who are there to just promote your stuff because they appreciate what you're doing. And it's just great to see people who are fans are people that just like individual like who want to promote your stuff because I have some friends who they're not into comics but they have like psychiatry degrees and stuff like that but they appreciate and admire the stuff I'm doing. So yeah, again, it's awesome that you're trying to reach out to all these people to like get their work shown because that's what's really important. You could have all the great talent you want, but if you're not having any eyes on it, then it's not gonna do anything.
And that's another part of why we built this, or why we're building the network the way we have, with all the multiple destinations. When we're broadcasting a show, it goes out to Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, different groups in Facebook, different YouTube channels. We're trying to put whatever the show is in front of as many different, you know, audiences as possible, right?
Yeah.
When you
And as you
have,
know, different platforms, you might have, YouTube with only select people, but then you might have a bunch on Twitch or on Facebook.
or on Twitter, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah,
Actually, people don't realize it, but if you broadcast to Twitter, you a lot of people will watch there where they're not distracted by the arguments in the chat, okay, because it doesn't show up on the Twitter,
yeah.
right? There's no chat. You don't get to
Mhm,
get in the chat, but you just watch the show, right?
mhm.
I have a lot of people that watch on Twitter because they don't care about what everybody else has to say. They just want to see the show.
Right?
And then you have the people that watch on YouTube and they're involved in the chat, people that watch on Twitch and Facebook.
Mhm,
But yeah, it's kind of weird. I do get a lot of views on Twitter where you can't interact.
mm.
Or, I guess they watch there because they don't want to.
Well, I think it's that that they're like, "Okay, I could just listen to this as a podcast instead of having to look at it like a video."
Right.
So and then some
And
people, they just want to listen to stuff, and some people they might get triggered or they might get mad because someone, I mean, you've had it before on your show, and I think I kicked the person out where sometimes you'll have people on there that are just there to promote like pornography or other stuff in the chats. You know, they don't
oh
care
yeah,
about your show. They're just there to spam the crap out of stuff.
we call them trolls.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this guy right here, he's the ultimate internet troll.
Yeah.
That's his whole deal. He was born on the internet. His powers are all internet based.
Hmm.
And we actually do have an IP that originated out of the madness. That's him.
Yeah.
Um, when the Facebook group started to grow, we wanted to do we wanted a logo,
Hmm.
right? That was madness. So we had a contest, and the contest, the logo that won is Comic Related Madness, but in the middle of that logo, there's this little troll guy
Yeah.
reading a comic book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he became the mascot of the group.
Yeah.
And then we had a contest, or we had a poll where we put a bunch of names up and chose a name. CRoM became his name, but it's also an acronym for the group, Comic Related Madness.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Conan's god,
Yeah.
although we've never
Yeah.
seen it.
CRoM. Yeah.
We've never
CRoM
seen
to
that
the
guy, so
hell
you
of
never
you.
know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was where the name for the con came from. All all this stuff all originated out of a little Facebook group with like 300 or 400 people in it,
Yeah.
and it just kept growing and getting bigger. New ideas, promoting people, which really is the basis of all of it. And now, when you have things going on like Indiegogo shadow banning people,
Mm-hmm.
we're right back where we were. They need this kind of
Well, it's like I didn't
attention
even
because
do nothing wrong,
they're
and
making it hard
Twitter
to
banned me for no reason.
say what.
Twitter banned me for no reason,
Oh,
but it
look,
seems like a lot of people got that. You know.
yeah, yeah. A lot of I got that too myself. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I had to make another account, but that was way back before the new guy took over. I could probably
Yeah.
get my old account back if I wanted to, but
Right.
you know, um, you just move on through that stuff, and that's the other reason for the Roku thing. I know eventually they're going to shut me down, or they're going to demonetize me if I get to that point.
Yeah.
It's like I've noticed that YouTube kind of don't want me to get to that point, because every time I get 4 or 5 subs, I lose 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, are they just going through and unsubbing people just to keep me stuck around the 750 mark? Because I've been here for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's like with me. On Instagram, I'll always get like a private message saying, "Oh, I think you would be great for our jewelry line," and the jewelry
Oh
line
yeah,
is like for
yeah,
like goth and like Halloween stuff. I'm
yeah.
like, you're not hiring me to design stuff, or you just like, oh, if you promote us, we'll give you some free jewelry. I don't want the free jewelry. I need money,
Yeah, and I'm not paying to have your jewelry shipped to me.
right? That's what they do.
Yeah, I
It's like,
got
oh, we'll give you free jewelry, but you got to pay for the shipping.
yeah, I get those messages too, and I'm just like, look, if you want to pay, if you want to sponsor us, we have a sponsorship program. It's very affordable, and lasts, for however long you want it to last. I mean, and you've seen our network. We play our sponsor ads diligently.
Oh yeah, for
We
sure.
make sure we take care of the people who take care of us, no doubt. You know, um, and that's part of the fun too. Okay, some of these guys, like, they don't have a campaign going all the time,
Yeah.
right? But they still have a website. They want people to see it,
Mhm.
so they sponsor us. We're always putting their link out there where people can go check it out and see the stuff they have at their website, even if they don't have an active campaign.
Yeah.
You know, um, look, I know what Facebook charges for ads and how little you actually see those ads.
Hmm.
Okay, because I have friends that have paid for those ads, and I've been here the whole 30 days, never seen a one. You know, I've never seen any Facebook ads come across my feed enough for me to justify anybody ever paying for a Facebook ad.
Yeah,
And
and a lot of
I'm out here
people
all day.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like, I always go back to this creator. He's a great comic book artist. He's done a lot for YouTube, and that's Scott Serklin. I don't know if you ever seen his videos, but he does a comic book called The Young and the Dead. It's about like if you took Goonies versus zombies. That's the best way to describe it, as
Okay.
he would. And when he started doing advertisement for the Young and the Dead, the robots on Facebook, all they seen was Young and Dead, and then they dropped that ad because the keywords that were in the title. I'm
Right.
like, see, that's the problem. They don't have humans looking at this stuff to see what it is. All they're doing is having a machine
Hmm.
to run algorithms and decide what should be promoted better than the other.
Yeah, and there really is there's no perfect algorithm,
Mhm.
There
Exactly.
really isn't. Uh, we go out of our look. Our network has people that talk about furries. Our network has people that talk about their AR-15s. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you're not like vehemently attacking somebody for being a dick,
Mhm.
I don't care. You can come out, hang out with us. It's like
Right.
we all have our own opinions and we all have our own personal accounts for expressing them.
Mhm.
We don't have to go into a Facebook group and start arguments between people, and that was the reason the madness was born.
Yeah.
Okay, I was in groups where people all they would do was argue with each other. People get kicked out of groups, blah blah blah, whatever.
Oh
Facebook
yeah.
comic book groups, right?
Mhm.
Um, I got kicked out of the last group I was in for promoting people.
Oh wow.
Okay, promoting people, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me you don't want to know about these cool ass books?
Mhm.
I thought this was a comic group,
Yeah.
right? So at first I was like, screw Facebook, I'm done.
I know you got a lot going on, but did you ever think about having a Discord too? Just because so many people are doing that now as well.
Hey, Discord's kind of backdoor into your computer. I don't mess with that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's open door for hackers. There's no security there, man. It's like
Yeah,
I don't know. I just heard too many bad things,
gotcha.
you know. Um, but back when before when, like I said, I got kicked out of the group, and it was like I was angry,
Hmm.
and I was just gonna not use Facebook anymore. And then after a couple of days, I was like, you know what, screw that. I'm gonna make my own group.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
And and as soon as I said something on my personal account, people started joining. Bing, bing, bing. And there was 100 people in the group like immediately, and it just kept going, right? But in the beginning, it was, dude, it was people like Brian Polito and Greg Horn and Monty. I can't even remember all these people's names. Back in the day. But there was a bunch of big time people that joined the group right away,
Yeah.
right? And started talking about their stuff and gave me a way to start promoting people's comics because some comic creators joined the group right away, which is what I was going for. But initially, it was about getting indie comics into retail stores.
Yeah.
That was what I was in the beginning, what I really wanted to do. I can't afford to pay $10 to have everything I want shipped to me.
Hmm.
I want to go to my LCS. I want yearbook on that shelf so I can just buy them all and go home.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was the initial goal and the initial drive.
Hmm.
Um, Now some of this is starting to come to fruition. I'm getting to know some comic store owners. Some of them are getting to know some of our creators. They're putting their books on shelves. It's actually happening
Yeah.
in different places, and I love it. And I'm not saying that it's because of me by any means,
Hmm.
but I love that it's happening, and I love bringing some of these comic store owners into our group and showing them all the cool stuff. Now, last week, Paul did his launch party from a
Hmm.
comic book store for his book, um, Prelude to Aurora. It's a gargoyles versus demons book, guys. Okay, he just launched it. He's like $80 away from being funded or something.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
it's good stuff. Okay, it's horror stuff. Man, there are so many cool horror comics right now. Man, it is sick.
Oh, that I love it. That's
It is sick. You got Laurie's Path of the Pale Rider. You got Rays, and you got Avalon. You got Six Gun Gorilla. There are so many. You got Human Hunters, Zombie Bimbos versus, or I mean, Ninja Bimbos versus zombies from deep space. Wolfsbane. There are so many
speaking,
cool
guys. If
Butch
you haven't
Cleaver.
yet,
Oh,
my
dude,
latest episode of Invincible Heart is out on Topis to read. So go
this,
check that out.
dude, there are so many cool horror comics right now
Oh
coming out
yeah,
of
you
nowhere,
know.
dude. Um, that's another thing that I love about the indies. There's no barriers.
Hmm.
You know, in the big two, you get Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Same vampire, werewolf stuff. In indies, man, you get full cryptid, like Timothy Fling's book, Cryptids, Call of the Cryptid by the 656 guys. There's so many good books, man. That's why I love doing this.
Yeah.
That's why, because there are so many good indie comics. It's look, um, indie comics have always been part of my collections.
Hmm.
Okay, I was one of them teenage stoners and had all the Freak Brothers books and all that. Okay,
Yeah.
underground comics was also a big part of, you know, once I became a comic fan, it was like, oh, what's that? Freak
Hmm.
Brothers getting hot. Oh, and then, you know, oh, the blacklight poster I had on my wall, I had no idea was associated with comic book, an underground comic book, right?
Yeah.
Till I owned the comic book. And I was like, oh man, that's all them mushroom melting blacklight posters and all that stuff. That was all underground comics art.
Hmm.
The giant pile of orgy. Do you remember that?
I think so. Yeah.
The
There's
black
just so
light
much.
poster. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
like Freak Brothers stuff, man. It was, you know, um, all the underground stuff is what made indies possible
Hmm.
back in the day, right? You had Asylum Press, you had Parody Press, you had Hart Fisher, you know, doing his thing. Another horror. You know, that dude did the Jeffrey Dahmer book,
Hmm.
the Jeffrey Dahmer books, which are not about the actual Jeffrey Dahmer. They're fictional. You know, it's comics.
Yeah.
They made such a huge deal out of that. They blacklisted dude, you know, for a comic book.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know that story, but if you want, I will introduce you to Hart Fisher, and you can have him out here. You can talk to him. He'll tell you his story, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And he actually has a Roku network of his own now called the American Horrors Network.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I
And
mean, I love comics in general, any type of comics, but there's just something so special about horror comics. But that's probably why I'm writing and drawing my own. I mean, it's just you get to have so much fun and not feel limited to like what you would feel with the superhero comic. And there's
that's what
just
I
so
mean. It's like
and there's
there's no
just so many
barrier.
so many subgenres. Like I tell
Yeah,
people, if you're a horror comic creator, you could have someone like me or someone like Clarissa that has like supernatural things going on because I have angels, I have demons, I have vampires, all this stuff in my comic. And if you're not into the supernatural, you could do a slasher or you could do a psychological. And yeah, there's just so many, or even a sci-fi horror. There's just so many subgenres of that, genre itself.
dude. And I'm sorry I forgot about you, Carissa. There's just, like I said, so many great horror books right now.
Yeah.
They're just everywhere. One of the better books that I've read this year that was in that category was Butch Cleaver 1 and 2 by Matt Burke.
Yeah.
He's Brian's co-host on the Horror Movie Club on Saturday nights on the network, and those books, those books are great, man. I was blown away, and you don't know till you get them in your hand.
Yeah.
Michael Gonzalez' Epic of Darkness was another one, an anthology that's really good. And maybe not quite so horror based, but still, kind of deep and dark. Paul Gomez, PTSD, and Cryptic Haze. There's just, man, I could talk about good books all night long. And I don't mean good books that I had on and looked at their campaign. I mean good books that I've actually got in my hand and read.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty picky. Anybody who's ever seen me talk about movies and shows and stuff, you guys know I'm pretty opinionated. I don't review comics, but you'll know if I like your stuff or not. But I'm not going to go out and nitpick or act like I know story structure or I'm kind of some kind of art professor, or I don't do that, man. I promote comics. I'll show you what they got, and I hope you buy it, and I hope you like it.
That's awesome.
Because once I get, like, I'll do unboxings too. We have a show called the Comic Related Unboxings where somebody sends me something or I buy something or whatever, and then we'll open it up live. We'll invite the creator out so that you can see the fulfillment in the final stage of arriving at the fan's house, right?
Gotcha.
They get to see my expression when I open it up. I get to see that, how they're taking care of you and myself as fans, the quality of the fulfillment, whether or not they use Geminis and, stuff like that, make sure our product gets to us in a timely manner and in good condition. Some of these people that come out and they create comics, they don't realize that there is still a collector's look. Okay. We still, as collectors, we still look at, we're looking at it like we want the book in the best possible condition we can get it in. So when we get books, we want to make sure, we want to know that the creator cares about us as a fan and as a customer, and that they'll go out of their way to make sure it's bagged and boarded and put in a Gemini and secured in the Gemini so it's not flopping around in there, so that we get it in the best possible condition. The last thing you want is a whole bunch of returns as a creator. You don't want to have to, you don't want to have to send out another set of books or, even one, right? You want them all to get where they're going in good condition. You want happy customers.
Yeah.
So fulfillment, really important. Okay. It's like, I look at it like this: creating the product is first. Promoting the product is second. And as far as most important, because if nobody knows you got it, don't matter, right? Yeah. So you got to learn to self-promote. You got to learn to come out and talk about it. If not, you better pay somebody that's really good to do that for you. Okay. And there are people that are good at doing that, but I've also seen people that are actually acting as agents for comic book creators and booking them to shows and stuff like that. That's cool. Whatever angle you work.
That's what's been happening with the show here lately. I've been having one person bring like, oh, can this person come on this day? Can a person come on this day? Where they're a comic creator themselves. Hi. Yeah, right. Yeah. And yeah, it's Jeff. It's pretty much Jeff. Hey,
he'll hit me up and he'll go, "Hey man, can I get you on the channel?" I'm like, "Dude knows me. He can hit me up."
Right. Yeah, so it's pretty much the same person, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jeff. Yeah. And like I said, whatever angle you work, you know, as long as you're working. Okay, if you do hire somebody like that, you want to know they're working. Hey, guess what? Jeff's working. Okay, he's hitting us all up, trying to get his clients or whatever you want to call them on these shows. Okay, if you need an agent to book stuff for you, there's Jeffrey Haas. There's somebody that's what he does. Um, you hit me up, I'm going to send you the programming list. I'm going to send you the programming list. It's got every show and and the people who run it, and you can hit them up yourself.
Yeah, I definitely want to come on other people's shows to promote the channel. And it's at that point I'm not close to getting my whole comic published in a physical form. So I don't want to like, hey, look forward to this date, because it's a lot of work to do the
Mm,
artwork, the coloring, and everything by yourself.
yeah.
But I
Also,
enjoy it
Doc
though.
Laylock. There's another one. There's another horror book for you.
Yeah.
Pariah Blood and Mud. And he wants to get. He said you and him keep missing each other. He wants to be on your
Yeah.
show as well, and or have you on his. Okay. Uh,
I send him my email. I don't know if he got the notification.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Make
Yeah.
sure Um, he wanted me to make sure to let you know he's interested.
All right.
After
After the show I'll give you my email so we could get that ready.
You just
Because
hit
I
him up on
definitely
Facebook, man.
Oh, he has a Facebook, because when I
Yeah.
went to his what was it, his promotion for the book, and you know how like they have the links, they only had the link for the YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't
Well,
know.
I got you. He's Facebook, he's Twitter, he's all that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Awesome.
I'll definitely put you in touch with him. Uh, and like I said, me and you got to talk maybe about either maybe not bringing your show live because Friday night is.
Yeah.
There were two shows going on my network when I
Mhm.
came here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Two live shows on my YouTube channel going at the
Yeah. I
same
got the
time.
I got
You
the
know.
notification. I seen that.
But I do replays as well.
Mhm.
Okay, where you're still getting your live views, they're yours,
Yeah.
right? But then when we replay it, we put it out to 8 different places.
Yeah. We'll probably have to do that just because I'm gonna be getting back to work, and gonna have to change the time I do the show. I used to do on Thursdays, but I'm gonna have to work in the evenings now, so really can't do it whenever I want to like I used to. So
But yeah, we can find you a spot like in the morning and just play your show. Whatever once a week, however often you do it, just play it once a week as a replay. We
awesome.
do that with a lot of shows, and it's for the same reason to bring attention to those channels.
Yeah.
You know, um, it helps. Some of them it helps. I hope. It's if you're not trying something new, then you're not trying,
Exactly.
right? We're always trying to think of a new idea, a new angle, a new way to get people looking at what you guys do,
Mhm.
and you know, um, a way to get your books in comic book stores, a way to build a network that the overlords can't slap us down. All these things, man. If you're not thinking big, you're never going to be big. Okay, I
Exactly.
want our network. I want us to be. I want this thing go long after I'm gone. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, even as someone like me or Lori or anyone, it'd be nice if we got a lot of money off of our comics, but it's one of those things, we fell in love with comics because the art and the crap behind it, and hope that one day someone could pick up our stuff and be inspired to want to do their own comic like we have off of our heroes growing up. So yeah,
Right. And then there's this guy, RJ, a Critical Blast. He's also a author and has a couple of horror novel anthologies. The last one, Hart Fisher wrote something in. Mike Barron wrote a story in. Um, you know, look,
yeah, right.
the genre goes. It's not just comics. It's not just movies. It's just like stories, yo.
Mhm.
and the different ways that it come that you don't matter. If you like horror, you know, um, we got it for you in so many different ways coming out of the madness right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the great things growing up. Of course, this was going on before I was born, but I always tried to go to this comic stores to look for like any type of like EC comics, Tales from the Crypt, anything like that, just because the whole idea of having like 3 or 4 stories in one book, you know? And yeah, you could do that with like sci-fi or superheroes stuff, but horror was really big about that, where we're going to
Mhm.
have different stories. And sure, you would have, and it's kind of sad because you don't see it a lot in a lot of horror comics now. The whole narrator, like they had with the Crypt Keeper and stuff like that. That'd be cool to see someone bring that back, where they literally have like the invisible like guy talking about everything that's going on.
That guy in the chat right there, Abo Grizzly.
Yeah. Oh, didn't even see that.
Yeah, another creator of a set of books called The Splinters of Yggdrasil, and space pirate, sexy chicks.
Yeah.
It's good
Can't
stuff,
go
really is.
right.
Uh, he's one of our friends. Comes out of the madness. Doing just one of the people I love promoting because his stuff's good. I'm telling you guys, if they ever asked me to come up with like a top 10, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I can maybe throw a top three at you and be pretty secure in those being my top three. But after that, from 3 to 50, it's just a whole bunch of good shit. It really is. There's no way to rank these books. They're all good.
Yeah, because I mean with the indies, they don't have to follow a set of rules like a lot of the top 2 are doing, you know. And sometimes with the top 2, they're just putting out stuff because they have a deadline. It's not like they're really caring about, the story. And you or not even with the story, they'll have like big explosions or a lot of crazy action scenes, but the artwork looks great, but the story's horrible, you know.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I mean, I'm part of it like a story. A good story can carry me through bad art.
Hmm.
Okay, because if it's got a good story, then I probably want to know where the story goes, regardless of who's drawing it. Okay,
Yeah.
um, if it's got great art and a bad story, there's no guarantee I'm buying book 2.
Yeah. Hmm.
You didn't hook me. Okay, the story is still always going to be the driving force on whether or not I'm sticking with you to the end of this story arc.
Yeah.
Okay, look, Frazetta can do the art. Okay, if the story's bad, yeah, I might still buy Frazetta's art, but I'm buying Frazetta's art.
Hmm.
I
I hear you.
mean, now there are some stories out there where, like, I'll use Six Gun Gorilla for an example. 1 through 7 were beautiful, right?
Mhm.
The artist and the writer, they had that thing, right? Then the artist passed away, and Brian had to go looking, and Brian ended up landing probably one of the better artists out there right now in Preston Acevedo
Mhm.
to continue on the story. And when you talk about stories and books that just get better, that one's just getting better. Okay, book 8 was amazing. 9 and 10 are in demand right now on Indiegogo. Dude, Six Gun Gorilla, good stuff. Again, you got that spaghetti western horror theme, right? You know, you got a big old gorilla with some great big guns shooting people that are bad, bad It's all fun, man. There's so many good books. Man, I wish I had the money to be a real publisher. Like, I wish I could like pull off an image right now,
Yeah.
because I could. There are so many books that all they need is a real marketing campaign. All they need is a real brand, a recognizable brand, to be an umbrella under, right? Like,
Hmm.
you know, look, yeah, Image put out a lot of good stuff. Image put out a lot of crap.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
the end of
People
the
forget
day,
about that.
no, but at the end of the day, that eye in the quarter sold that crap.
Hmm.
Okay. The people bought that crap because that eye was still recognizable, and oh, we got to check it out. It might be good.
Yeah, and that goes all the way back to networking. You could have the best
Yes.
story and the best artwork, but if people don't know about it, you're not going to get to know it, or your stuff is never going to be seen.
And this is why we want to build this network.
Mhm.
It's we want to build something that's like a marketing arm for the indies. Like, everybody knows DC, everybody knows Marvel, everybody knows they got all they got to do is put the brand on the book, and some people are going to buy it,
Yeah.
no matter what's inside of it. Okay. The brand already sells it. You guys need that marketing, that kind of um, fan awareness
Mhm.
working for you. That's I'm trying to build something that makes the fans aware of what the indies have to offer. Not, I don't really care what the big two are doing anymore, because they
Yeah.
don't care about us.
No, I mean, it would be great if they had like outside of movie theaters, like comics that are based off of that movie, or hell, and I know some of them are horrible, but I remember as a kid going to see the 1989 Batman movie and then reading the novelization of that movie. Sure,
Yes.
a bunch of the novelizations were horrible, but the whole idea of having a novelization based off of that movie back in the day was really cool and just brought me into more the whole comic book realm and stuff like that. Like a
Now,
lot of times growing up as a kid, I didn't even get my comics at a comic book store. I would get them at like a Quick Trip, a gas station when they used to have comics on the rack at a gas
Seven
station.
Eleven.
Mhm. Yeah.
7-Eleven used to have comic books.
Mhm.
The old drugstores,
Yeah.
Walgreens, and places like that. When I was a kid, they didn't have comic book stores, man. You had spinner racks at the supermarket and the
Yeah.
drugstore. Um, you had the Feds and Heads and Freak Brothers books and stuff like that at the shop where you bought the weed paraphernalia.
Mhm.
I can remember the places I bought comics when I was young, right?
Yeah.
Um, a couple of them burned down during the riots a couple years ago. Actually,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I was born and raised in one of them neighborhoods. Anyway,
Gotcha. So with you, you love to promote this stuff. Is there ever a time in your life you feel like, hey, I want to help write a story? Do you ever have a passion of that? Or is like, I just care about promoting. I don't care about like doing it myself.
well, I have an IP.
Mhm.
I'm not a writer.
Gotcha.
Okay, we did have a failed campaign for an anthology.
Mhm.
It didn't make funding, so it never came to fruition. But we did have some good stories. Some people submitted some cool stories for the book, and we may sometime in the future do the Cromniverse.
Yeah.
Okay, uh, but man, I just I'm not a writer.
Gotcha.
Somebody else would have to write it, and I would just be a creative uh, consult
Mhm.
about my character, not
Gotcha.
about their story. Do you see what I'm saying? They'd write the
Mhm.
story. I would say, okay, well, Crom might do this. He wouldn't do that. That kind of shit. You know,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't try to change. I wouldn't try to write the story for him. My only concern is how he is portrayed. I want
Yeah.
him to be the same no matter who's writing the story. if he's in it, he has to have the same characteristics and the same habits and the same uh, type of way he talks and all that kind of stuff, right? I want him to be a solid IP at the end of the day, because there are a few different people that wrote stories with him in it, and they all follow the guidelines. It's pretty cool. He's an internet troll.
Yeah.
You know, he might jump into your computer and change the files on that comic you just sent to your printer.
Yeah.
Your printer might send you back your books all backwards and shit. You just don't know. CRoM just likes messing with us. He's not malevolent. He's just mischievous. Because if he was mean, he'd just like use the nuke codes. We'd be done, right? We amuse him as humans. You see? He does have a background in the storyline. We just, I'm a promoter. I'm a fan. I don't know if I could be a creator.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't mind throwing ideas at people. I do that all the time. Okay, if I come up with some kind of an idea and I think it'll help what you're doing, I'll give you the idea. I don't be like, I give it to you. Okay, and if I come up with an idea, I'll be like, you can use it. Do it if you like it. I do come up with a lot of ideas, but I'm just not that guy who can put it all out there.
Gotcha.
I can't write out the whole story and be descriptive of the way the forest is, how it sounds in the forest. This dude's clip clopping on his horse there. I don't got time for all that. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Maybe I could write like a condensed type script for a comic book, maybe. But even then, I'd want somebody who knows what they're doing to do it. I'd want the fans to get the best that I could provide, and that's not my writing.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'd rather throw my IP at somebody who's good at writing a story and have them do it, and then give that to an artist that's good at sequential art and can portray the part of the story that's not in the dialogue or the narrative. I'd give it to people that know what they're doing, basically. I wouldn't... I'm just a fan, man.
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I tell people that all the time. I'm just a fan who got caught up in watching my friends suffer financially a few years ago and tried to do what I could to help them. That's all.
Yeah, because I haven't done a con yet just because my book's not in physical format, but just looking at some of these cons and how much money you have to spend to even get the stuff ready. The pandemic really screwed that over with a lot of people.
And there were so many of my friends who they were like, Pops, they shut them all down, and some of them didn't even send us our money back. They just said, no, you're good for next year. Like like all these people just had that money to give away, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now when you've paid for 6 cons or 7 or 8 cons through the summer in advance, and then you don't get any of that money back, we're talking about thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah, some places, even like 2 days, you could be spending like over $500,000 depending on if you have to travel to a different state.
Yep. Hotel accommodations, all of it. And if you're not actually making any of that money back, but not only not making it back, not even getting back the money when you can't even go there. Okay. To me, those people that were running those cons and not refunding the money, I have a hard time with the people that run those cons.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you don't know what next year's situation is going to be.
Yeah, with the pandemic, we really didn't know. We thought it was going to last for a year.
That's what I mean. We had just been shut down for the whole year, and there was no guarantee we were going to be allowed to go next year. So give everybody their money back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, At least give them most of their money back if you want to keep a deposit for next year's table, whatever.
Mhm.
But some of them cons acted kind of shady during that period, and man, I just I was feeling it for my friends, and I went out and did whatever I could to help them. You know,
That's awesome.
um, yeah. Well, that's kind of what we're doing, bro. That's kind of what the madness has been trying to do. Yeah. Um, Building something that I can help you guys all market.
Mhm.
Like first off, let me just go to you, Joe, since you're in the chat and you're paying attention. How much time do you have to promote your stuff? Serious business. You're writing, you're drawing, you're how much time do you have? You go to work every day. I assume you have a regular job. You come home, you do your art, you do this. How much time do you have to actually promote?
It's true.
And this is the main reason that I really started helping outside of just CRoM Con and actually started promoting and really trying to help some of these people is because they didn't have time to do it.
Yeah.
I had some friends that would work all day. They'd come home, they'd draw for a couple hours. We really have no time.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. I mean, between me doing the show, then me, doing my artwork, and then dealing with my disability, it's a lot to handle. You know,
And
there's
there's Abel right there. They have no time. Him and his wife do all the work on the yeah. I mean, once you've done you're doing all the work. It's like, where do you got time to come out here and tell everybody about all the work you just did?
Mhm.
That's where I came in. That's where I looked at. I have the time. I got the time to come out here and help these guys get seen, and I've been
Yeah,
doing it pretty much every day for 3 years.
that's awesome.
Pretty much every day. You know, and there's people that have been with us since the very beginning. Uh, Sam Quentin, 47 Furious Tales. I was promoting that book right from the beginning. When it first came out. I think we found out about Paul when he was on his second book. I don't think we were um, we didn't promote PTSD, but we were there for Bushy Boo. Okay, um, Carissa right from the beginning, Lori right from the beginning. But some of these people go farther back than that, and man, some of them are some of these people. Look, for what I did in the beginning, some of those people didn't need me.
Mhm.
Okay, they like people like Brian Polito. He didn't need Pops to promote him. Okay, but I did because I loved what he was doing. I love
For
Lady
sure.
Death. I love Evil Ernie. I loved all that shit, right? So I promoted Brian, and I met a lot of people, and really that's kind of where the beginning base of the group came from, was from the Lady Death universe, you know. And I just realized that I couldn't just do it for Brian. I had to do it for all these other people that needed me. Brian didn't need me. He's still my friend. He still comes out once a year for the con, but he didn't need me to promote his Lady Death books.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody knows him. Um, People like Joe in the chat, he needs somebody like us. He
Yeah.
needs shows like this, like what you're doing, like what we're doing. These people need this exposure. Now, if we can get this all in a centralized hub where all the podcasters can be found, so that when a creator has a book, he knows he can go to the madness and he can go, dang, there's 15 different shows I can go on just
Yeah.
in that one group.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, I ain't saying the madness has to be the only group, but it would be a lot easier if they could just go from a group of a bunch of shows to another group of a bunch of shows, as opposed to trying to hunt down individual people.
Yeah.
You know, these conglomerates of shows can only help creators. making sure people know where the podcasters are, making sure the podcasters know where the creators are. Okay. If you have a podcast and you're looking for a guest, all you have to do is go to the Comic Related Madness Facebook group and scroll through there and look at all the different campaigns that are live right now and pick one. Okay. There are people in that group looking for shows to be on, and that goes vice versa. Okay. If you're a creator and you're looking for shows to be on, go look in the madness at all the different shows that are represented there and hit those people up. They're more than happy to get you out and get you seen. That's what we're doing. You know, there's no secret, there's no ulterior motive, there's no question I won't answer as far as financing, what the sponsor money spent on, anything like that. I'll tell you, I'll show you. You know, there's no game here. It's all about trying to get eyes on people's stuff. And the more people that join into the madness, whether it be joining the group on Facebook, following us on Twitter, subscribing on the YouTube network, it doesn't matter. Okay. If you see that we're live, ask for a wrench. I give you a wrench. You can post your links anytime we're live so that people know where to find your stuff. There's no, like you said, there's no secret behind it.
Awesome.
You know, it's just getting people seen. You got to be determined. You can't quit.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get rattled. I mean, obviously we're all human. We're going to at times show our emotion, but you got to come back the next day and do what you're supposed to do.
Facts.
You know, I've been rattled 5 minutes before a show and still had to come out and do that show with a smile.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. You know,
it's about serving the community, everybody. You know, and it doesn't matter if you're a letterer or an artist or a writer or editor, flatter, proofreader, fan, creator. It doesn't matter if you're part of this. Help other people be successful too. Mm-hmm. You know, I want indies to be the comic industry.
Yeah.
I want indies to be the comic industry. I don't even want people looking at that other stuff if they're not going to try to make us, try to entertain us. Mm-hmm. You know, if they're not trying to entertain us, then we need to make sure that we step up. And the way things are right now, indie comics are amazing. Like I said,
oh yeah, for sure.
Between number 4 and number 50, I couldn't rank them. You know, they're all that good. And I've really only gotten a couple that were bad, and I'd never tell you what they were anyway. But I mean, really, you know, out of a long box and a short box of indie comics the last 3 years, I've only gotten 2 or 3 books that I went, oh, fuck. And, you know, like I said, I'm not a critic though. You know, I'm not gonna call a dude up and tell him, hey man, this was poor, because who am I?
Right.
You know, art's subjective. What I like doesn't mean somebody else gonna like it.
Exactly.
What I don't like, somebody else might love. Mm-hmm. There's no accounting for taste.
Yeah.
Like what you like, support what you like. Don't crap on what you don't like because somebody else likes it. Just, you know, if it's not your thing, that's cool. Nobody only the big 2 are trying to make you like what they're putting out. The rest of us are like, hey, if you like it, cool. If you don't, you know, right on. But somebody else might. Tell your friends. Mm-hmm. Right? The big 2, that's different. They're trying to make you like what they're putting out. You know, they're not giving you alternatives. Yeah. It's all the same title. Think about it. It's all the same story. It's all the same agenda. Mm-hmm. It's all the same.
Well, we're past the 1 hour mark, so if you want, we could start getting into some horror movies and horror stuff like that. Because after all, we're this show is about comics and horror because horror is
and
awesome.
and that's why I've tried to keep it to the horror comics.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? All, pretty much
exactly.
everything I've mentioned is people that are writing good horror comics because I know the theme of your show, man. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And some of the people you named I've already had on my show.
There you go. Um, when it comes to the horror movies,
Mhm.
when I first met Brian Christgau and started seeing his horror movie club show,
Yeah,
it was like it rekindled all that old fun I used to have when I was a kid going to horror movies. Because I hung out with that group of kids that nobody ever wanted to show any kind of fear, right?
yeah.
Everybody was the hero. Everybody was the tough guy. We'd go to horror movies and laugh
Mhm.
and crack jokes and try to prove that we weren't, that wasn't the gotcha moment, right? So every time something freaky would happen, we'd all bust up laughing, crack jokes, and just be obnoxious, basically.
Mhm.
But Brian's show brought all that back and how
Yeah.
much fun we used to have doing it. And some of the movies that he's covered since then are movies that I saw when I was young. And,
Mhm.
I don't really follow the newer stuff because I just don't have time.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
If
so
it's
much
not,
of it.
yeah, if it's not something that I saw in the past, then, I'm not much to add to the conversation. But if it's something that I have memory of or whatever, then I'll get involved in the show. But the
Yeah.
horror
There's
movie
so
club
many
on
indie
Saturday,
horror movies now, just like there are comics. Just so many people are coming out with stuff and just releasing their own stuff on YouTube or they're
mhm,
releasing stuff on other platforms. Like I
yeah,
had two guests on the show as a husband and wife. They work together and on comics, but the husband, he actually just recently made a movie that's kind of like a suspenseful stuff. And yeah, it's just really cool to see how much indie, not just in comics, but with everything, is just becoming so big and so popular and getting the notice that it's deserved with all this stuff.
well, that was one of the things when we were talking about building the network. We were trying to decide the type of format we were going to have, whether it was going to be 24-hour live programming
Mhm.
or view on demand type thing. And when we were talking about the 24-hour live programming, it was like, okay, how are we going to fill 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we started talking to some people and found out that there are a lot of indie movie creators that will pay you to put their stuff on your network
Hmm.
because they can't get on anything on any platforms. There are a lot of movies that people never see. I just want
Yeah.
you to know that. Um, and one of the things that we will do with our Roku channel is offer to put some of those independent movies up there too.
That's awesome.
You know, some of these people that we know haven't been able to break that ceiling and get on a platform.
Mhm.
There's a lot of man. There's a lot of them.
So with horror movies, what would be your favorite horror movie of all time? Like that you could remember that really made a big impact on you. Not because it
Um,
was scary, just with the storyline and the whole concept behind it.
I'm gonna tell you the one that get me the worst is the Last House on the Left,
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
the
Good
original
move. Mhm.
Last House on the Left.
Gotcha.
That family was sick about vengeance, boy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the problem. Sometimes with originals or remakes, either way around, it'll be better or not, you know? Like, don't
um,
get me wrong, I like the original Blob, but the '80s Blob was just so really good to me. Like, I really
dude,
like that
the,
'80s Blob movie.
the original Last House on the Left. Look, that was one of the movies that made an impact.
Mhm.
Okay, it was like, man, don't ever mess with man. You never know what kind of family you might be messing with, right? It was a deterrent
Yeah,
to doing creepy things to people because you never know how creepy the people you are fucking with are. And as
right?
cool and happy as that family looked, they turned out to be pretty devious and pretty mean,
Oh yeah, for sure.
you know. And it was like, wow, you don't think that the good people are going to be the ones that turn out to be the mean people.
Mhm.
And in that movie, that's what happens. The victims turn out to be the wrong victim.
I hear you. Yeah.
So that one always stuck with me. All the classic Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein. Those, to me, um, the culmination of it all was Young Frankenstein. That was the one I was looking for. Okay,
Yeah.
the horror movie that made me laugh, because those movies all made me laugh,
Mhm.
right? So they finally came out with one that was supposed to make you laugh, and I loved it. Young Frankenstein, one of my favorite movies.
It's a
Okay.
classic. Can't beat it.
Oh, dude, one of my favorite movies of all time, no doubt. Uh, but then some of the movies that I have seen since hanging out with Brian in the horror movie club
Mhm.
have been pretty freaking awesome. The
Yeah.
Train to Busan.
Oh my gosh, such a great movie.
Okay, I never
Really
knew
good.
some of these movies. I didn't know crap about because I just don't have time to follow movies. Okay, until I started hanging out with these guys.
Yeah.
So if you love horror movies, look, Saturday nights 8 o'clock, the Horror Movie Club on the network. Check it out. We open the show up so people can jump in and hang out with us and talk if they want. It's totally interactive. Um, I can't even remember what the show is tomorrow night that he's doing. That's how busy I am, man. I
Yeah.
can't even remember what show he's doing, what movie he's doing tomorrow night. But we feature a movie that's not behind a paywall,
Mhm.
so that everybody can watch it ahead of time. Okay, like on Tubi or whatever. It doesn't cost anything to go watch. We'll post the movie up there a few days in advance with the link to with or the show with the link to the movie, so you can go watch it ahead of time. And then we all just go out and talk about it, show some clips and some stills and stuff, and just hang out, talk about horror movies. And sometimes we talk about horror comics if we have a creator that just happens to show up that has a horror comic that's live at the time. It's again about networking. It all is,
Yeah, exactly.
you know. And yes, Abo Train to Busan was one I didn't know anything about it. I watched it because of those guys. Was blown away. Great zombie movie.
Yeah.
Um, wow. And last week they did uh, the El Santo and Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman.
Oh yeah. Those those movies don't get enough credit. I mean, people think, "Oh, you're just going to have that." But I mean, Mexico, those were their superheroes. El Santo,
Yes,
Miss Mascara,
yes,
all
those
those.
were
Yeah.
their. Um, look, even those guys were serious.
Yeah.
I mean, they were serious about their standing in the community and whatnot. I
Mhm.
don't think Santo took his mask off, but one time in his whole career showed his face, like when he was in his 80s.
Well, that's the whole tradition. You don't take your mask off.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like in movies and actual wrestling. I mean, he was an actual wrestler, but then they did the movies where they were like the Batman and Green Hornet, and it's like
Mhm.
they were the superheroes of Mexico.
Yeah.
They, and we were watching the movie, right? And then they showed some interviews with the guys afterwards, and one of them's like, I don't know why El Santo come in and took all the credit at the end because we did all the work. And I was like, what I mean, they were serious about their standing with the community, and it was like, it was great, dude. Those movies were hilarious. That's why, for me, um, horror was fun.
Mhm.
Okay, there wasn't any. I can't think of any of them that really made me like freak out at all.
Gotcha.
It's like I went in looking for fun. Just, I guess that's just the way I'm wired because that's all I ever try to do is just I want to have fun. That's all I want to
Yeah.
do.
Now with 80s horror slashers like Jason, Freddy, all those, was there a character that you really liked? Just because the
No,
whole
I wasn't
concept.
into the slashers.
Yeah, gotcha,
Um, for me at that time, I was like, man, why are we giving these loonies ideas?
gotcha.
um, I like horror movies, but slasher movies to me, it was like it was all the same thing.
Mhm.
You know, people running, slow guy catches them somehow. I could never figure it out. Dude's
Yeah.
like barely moving. 5 steps every 10 seconds. She's covering like 20 feet every 2 seconds,
Mhm.
but he catches up to her every time. They fall down. It's uh, I want just like what did Albo say earlier? The art's great draw, but is a great draw, but it's got to have substance.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
the visuals are awesome, but it's just I never got grabbed by any of the stories. Mike Barron said it best in the beginning of a story, the first page, or the opening scene of a movie, or the first couple pages of a novel. Um, you got to reach out and grab the reader or viewer by the throat and get their attention.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, they're trying to find your story as opposed to you hitting him in the face with it.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's like you got to reach out and grab them right from the beginning and sit them down in that chair and say, "This is what you're watching."
Yeah.
You know, um, I didn't get that from slasher movies.
Mhm.
Um, Supernatural horror movies, I got that from a little bit,
Were
but
you
I
big
didn't.
into creature features?
Yeah, that's what I mean. More of
Yeah.
the, you know, um, I don't want to say Creature from the Black Lagoon, although it was a classic.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't like the greatest movie or anything like that. It was fun. Do you remember one, the Valley of Guanji or something like that? It was James Franciscus in an old western, but they were battling dinosaurs.
I It sounds familiar. There's just so much movies I've seen growing up as a kid.
Look, I liked the weird stuff. I did like the Godzilla stuff when I was young. The original,
I mean,
Godzilla
I always
monsters.
say one of my favorite horror comedies of all time, and it's not even horror because it's not scary, but just the idea and the designs of the characters, their weapons. I'm a big Killer Clowns from Outer Space fan. I just love that movie. That movie's funny, and
Dude,
just the idea.
that is
And
a you either love it or you hate it movie.
yeah, but the movie's becoming a video game now, so it's yeah,
What
it
did you
definitely is one of those love it or hate it
what
ideas.
what did you think of Walking Dead? Honest opinion, first season
Uh, to be
or
honest,
or first volume of the book, whichever, however you came in. You know,
I like I liked it in the beginning. I can't remember what season I dropped out of it. It's just really hard when you have a comic book that's or a comic book show that's not going along with the comic
okay,
because you're like really looking forward to see this character progress and it's the
and it
opposite.
doesn't. Yeah, okay.
And
Um,
that's what
I
really turns me off.
I totally get you on that. Um, I fell. I watched it all the way up to Negan,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, that's stupid. You just undermine the leadership of the group that we've been following this whole time.
Yeah.
Um, you just made Daryl into a pussy. You just, totally like, nah, okay, I'm done. It's like, I, I don't think I watched another episode after that, after the Negan episode where he, you know, the baseball bat,
Yeah.
you know, when he started smacking brains. I was like, okay, I'm done. This is stupid. These guys got a bigger issue than each other, you know, zombies, right?
Mhm.
Um, I couldn't get behind it anymore after that. You can't kill you can't kill the heart of your hero.
Yeah. Hmm.
you know, and you sure don't kill the heart of all of them all at once.
Yeah.
Totally demoralize the whole group that these people have been following all this time and expect everybody to come back next week.
Hmm.
You just denutted the whole crowd.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So yeah, I was kind of not only that, but he made me mad for another reason that I won't go into today. But the writer, the creator of Walking Dead, made me
Okay,
angry on
gotcha.
a different level, in a different arena. Don't mess with my comic creator friends, Kirkland. I'm just saying. Um, he's not the nice guy that everybody thinks he is. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, um, I liked the comic book
Hmm.
for the first season a lot, and then it just steadily dropped off till Negan killed it.
Yeah.
Okay, um, the show, as soon as they started deviating, it was like, come on, man, Game of Thrones. That's where it's like
Yeah.
we had to go through the same thing again with Game of Thrones,
Hmm.
where they start deviating from the storyline. It's like the bait and switch. Here's what you think you're gonna get.
Yeah. It's like the whole, you know, uh, man, there's just so many things that happened in that last season of Game of Thrones that was just really disappointing.
It was horrible.
It's like winter's coming, and you have all these like yes, people don't quote me on the thing, but the Ice King and the Ice Zombies, you know, you made them into this big threat, and then the whole battle ended in one pretty much like 1 or 2 episodes. It should have been like a whole like 5 episodes or more. Just I don't know, it just
Nah, they
ended
should have
too
been
quick.
they should have been coming down, wiping out town after town for about 4 episodes before they even got to King's Landing. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
they didn't show them raising the countryside. They didn't show people running in fear. None of that, right? Just straight to King's Landing. But it was, I mean, it was all just they just same thing with and I may make some people not like me over this, but Stephen King, The Dark Tower,
Yeah, okay.
um, Book 7. We waited a long time for that crap, man. And then it was like you could tell he just got sick of people asking him when he was going to do it, and he just rushed through it
Yeah.
and left so much. Look, not just unanswered questions, but where he did try to sew stuff together was really frayed. It was horrible, you know. And look, I like most of what he's written. I like the first 6 books of that series,
Mhm.
but man, talk about stabbing yourself in the foot. You know, it was like I was just that one was ugly. Uh,
I I hear you.
what was your favorite theater moment at a horror movie?
Oh my gosh, favorite theater moment.
Theater moment, something that happened in the theater while you were watching a horror movie. Because I'll tell you mine. It's hilarious.
Go ahead, I'll let you. I have to think about it.
Okay, well, Jaws.
Mhm.
We've seen it about 6 times already, right? So we know all the jumpy moments and everything already. And we're just there to crack jokes because it's hilarious, right? Now, there's a lady, a big lady, about 2 rows up off to the left, and she comes in with a bag of Jack in the Box.
Oh, I
Right?
love Jack in the Box.
Dude, everybody, look,
They don't have Jack in the Box in Florida, so when I go
they
up to
don't got it here
Missouri,
either, man. I
when I go
miss
up
a
to
Jack in the
Missouri,
Box taco so bad.
because I'm from originally from St. Louis, so when I visit my family, that's like one of the key places I gotta go is Jack in the Box.
Dude, if I'm going down the freeway and I see one, I'm stopping. I don't care where I'm at because
Right?
they don't have them where I live. So, but yeah. Um, so this lady's got her bag of Jack in the Box, and she goes over there and she sits down. She starts pulling tacos out. smashing tacos. Now, one of the first gotcha movies or gotcha moments in the movie is when the head pops out of the boat, right?
Mhm.
Dude's swimming up to the boat and there's a hole in the boat and that head pops out of it. That lady left Jack in the Box tacos all over the seat next to her. And I don't mean the ones she hadn't eaten yet.
Man.
She started puking and she got up and started running and she was puking all the way up the aisle. And
I definitely don't have a story like that. That is
dude,
horrible.
we were already laughing, right? Okay, because we knew what was coming.
Mhm.
She had obviously not seen the movie before, and
Yeah.
she was way too comfortable. I'll bet she never ate stuff at a horror movie again the rest of her life.
That's funny.
But it was bad. It was really bad, man. Funny, but bad. Uh,
Yeah, my story is pretty much just getting into a horror movie as a young kid. Like, what was it? Oh, it was Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child. My sister was trying to get me and my brother into the horror movie to watch it. And my sister is like only 3 years older than me, but she tried to pass by as my mother. I'm like, we're the same height. I don't think that's going to be possible. But the guy wouldn't let us to do it. So literally, my father came by and got us into the movie while the guy was just looking at us, very like, you little shits. How the hell did you get by? So yeah, it was just, it was just fun trying to get into a R-rated movie as a kid, and then having to call the parents to let us go in there, and the parents would just leave because they have something else to do. But
yeah, it was,
nothing like
it's,
seeing people puke. That that
it's,
definitely I've never seen that in a horror movie. Probably
oh,
with The
I've seen people
Exorcist.
puke a few times. That
Yeah.
was just one that was classic because we almost could see it coming,
Hmm.
you know? Like she's just wolfing these tacos down, dude, and we know what's about to happen on the screen, right? And now, if she had seen the movie before, no big deal, right?
Hmm.
But we were kind of betting that she hadn't because she was just way too comfortable, you know. Um, you sit down with your popcorn, you just start munching, it's all good. And then they pull the intestines out and start eating them.
Right?
um, that was one of that was one of the things about like the old Dawn of the Dead and those movies.
Hmm.
I could watch those movies, every bit of it, except I didn't want to watch them eating intestines. That didn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I just kind of look away and go, yeah, you let me know when they're done with dinner, all right? And then I
Hmm.
look back to the movie and see the victims freaking out, blah, 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 you know.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But it was just kind of ew. But those were the only movies that made me do that. Okay, I've watched all the other movies over the years that had gross stuff and never went ew. But those movies really made me kind of gross me out.
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead, that kind of grossed me out, man. You know,
I
um,
mean, there's definitely horror movies out there that have no like real like, oh, it's super scary. It's just there for a gross value.
what about John Carpenter's Vampires?
Oh, I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, me too. We actually had Margene Holden.
I have Margene on my show too.
Yeah, she's
Yep.
awesome.
Yes, she is.
And a little tidbit that probably isn't real well known. Her and Simon Poitier are going to be bringing a show to the network, action
Oh,
movie
really?
show,
That's awesome.
and they're going to be doing that. So
That's cool.
we're going to get to see a little bit more of Margene and stuff that she likes.
But I
You
could
know,
tell you one thing, like me being a diehard like horror comic. I mean, I posted some of my artwork on your Facebook. You know, I don't have a problem drawing like gore, drawing monsters and stuff like that. But I'm not going to draw something just for a shock value, or I don't want
right?
to watch something for a shock value. That's why I always tell people the one the one movie franchise I refuse to watch the whole thing through just because in the beginning it was nasty, and that's the human centipede. I just find that really disgusting. You know, I don't know if you ever watched that. That's
Uh-uh.
just that's not even scary. It's just there to make you puke and to make you be disgusted.
You see that? You know that move that show Fear Factor?
Hmm.
Okay, where they act like you're scared if you don't want to eat this spider.
Yeah.
No, I'm grossed out and I don't want to eat the spider, but I'm not scared of the spider. I just smashed that motherfucker.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Fear, fear is not being grossed out.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Fear is being scared and I want to run away.
Hmm.
Okay, fear is I'm not going to do this because I might die.
Yeah.
Not I'm not going to do this because I might puke. That's grossed out. There's a difference.
Hmm.
Nobody likes to puke,
Yeah.
but that's not being scared.
Hmm.
You know, puking is something that your body is like rejecting something that shouldn't be in there, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's not fear. You know, fear is something that makes you pee your pants.
Hmm.
That's fear. Okay. I could never get behind that show or the concept of it because most of the time it was eat something gross.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's not fear. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Do I want to? No, not going to do it. Not scared, just not going to do it.
Right. All right. Well, we're past the 1 hour and 30 minute mark, but Pops, it was great to have you on the show. I
Dude,
know I
yeah,
reached out to you saying a while back, hey, we got to get you on sometime, and you're like, whenever you have an opening. I'm like, okay, today's the day,
and here I am, and it's just like
right?
that. That's one of the great things about running the network.
Mhm.
I don't have to be there.
Right. Well,
Everybody
Grizzly,
can
thank
run
you
their
for
own
popping in the
shows.
chats. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Abo's a good dude. Go check out abogrizzly.com and you can check out the Splinters of Yggdrasil. And it's really good stuff. The first four books are there. They're only $5 a piece.
Can't
You
beat that.
know, I mean it's affordable. You get $4 for $20 plus shipping, you know, and it's good stuff. It really is. I play the ad on the regular. If you watch our shows, you've probably seen the ad for their book and have an idea what it looks like. So
Mhm.
go check it out. Go check out Doc's Pariah Blood and Mud. Go check out Six Gun Gorilla and Butch Cleaver and all these great horror comics that are out here. Worthy Chaos Redemption. Gee, there's so many. Path of the Pale Rider, Rays, Avalon. Just the list just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And man, Kids and Monsters. I forgot. There's another one. Kids and Monsters. Go check that out. Thanks, man. And
Not a
definitely we
problem.
got to talk about, finding a spot to play your replays on the network for sure.
Oh, most definitely. Well, everyone, you have a good weekend and happy Easter for anybody out there that celebrates Easter. So, peace. See y'all next week.
Peace.